Hello, quilting friends. I am back on a Tuesday, so I'm back on the right day and the right time and in the right place because I'm in my home and all is well with the world. I hope you are having an all is well with the world type of day where you are too. And that is kind of a choice I'm making because I live in the Northeast US and we're getting hit with a multi day heavy rain nor'easter. And if you have arthritis and an inflammatory disease, nor'easters just hurt. So today I'm choosing to have an awesome day. And I'm glad you're here choosing to have an awesome day with me too. So I have been home and I have been doing some quilting, which is wonderful. This hasn't made it online yet. Let me grab it. But as far as what have I finished, this is finished, but it hasn't made it online yet because all the editing isn't done. But I finished this quilt. It's called Snowball Fight. And I quilted snowflakes in here. I don't know if you can see them there. And I quilted some continuous curve and snowflakes in the 9 patch. Now, this pattern is from Snowman Gatherings 4, which is a book from Primitive Gatherings. I love all things Primitive Gatherings. If you know me as a quilter, you know that. So I have her books. I have a lot of books from Primitive Gatherings. And when I looked at this one, it had 2.5-inch squares in cream and 2.5-inch squares in blue. And I went, wait a second. I might have some 2.5-inch squares cut from my color block project. So I pulled out my blue box and my cream box, and I made all of my 9 patches. And then I just got a little bit of yardage from my stash for the snowball block. And I put that same scrap. I put this color in the center of the 9 patch. We're the same. Otherwise, these are all scraps from my color block boxes, including the edges of my snowball blocks, because those are all 2.5-inch squares that I sewed and trimmed. So this was almost a free quilt. It took very little fabric. But it's a very big quilt. So I'm glad it's done. The video is edited, but I don't have good pictures of the quilt yet. So hopefully tomorrow I'll get those, tonight or tomorrow, depending on light. And we haven't seen the sun for a while with the weather hitting the Northeast. So we'll see what type of light I can get for some good pictures. But it was so great to be quilting. Let me head over to chat and see if anybody is saying hi. Oh, there they are. So let's see, Cindy. Hello, it's a beautiful quilt. Thank you. I like it very, very much. I have a my husband has a much larger family than I do. My family, there's 2 siblings. I didn't really have cousins and grandparents and things like that. So it's really just the 4 of us. And now it's just my sister and I and our kids. So it's a really small family. My husband, his dad was one of 5 boys, tons of cousins. His mom was one of 3 girls, tons of cousins. So it's a big family. And whenever I give quilts to the families, the extended family, I send them a box with a quilt for each member of the family. So one of my husband's cousins has 2 grown boys, a grown son, and a school-aged boy, but they're all really tall. She's tall, her husband's tall, the grown kids are all tall. So I'm trying to pull together 6 quilts, 1 for each kid, and then I give 2 quilts, 1 for each adult. Trying to get a box of 6 tall quilts. This quilt is tall, so it's going to go in that box when it's done, but it was really fun making it. Let me pull up the link for Primitive Gatherings, and I'll throw it in the chat. Snowman, snowflake. Snowman Gatherings 4. Let's see. Gatherings 4. Okay, I'm going to pull up the link and I'll show you the book. So here we are. So I have the link. It's in the chat, and I can share with you the book. This is what it'll take you to, Snowman Gatherings 4 book, and it's one of the quilts in here. I also have this quilt started. Those are not 2.5-inch squares, but I have a lot of blue scraps, so I started that one anyway. So I have that book. There's at least 3 or 4 or 5 quilts I want to make out of it. Started 2, finished 1. So let me come back here. I can stop sharing my screen, and hello, I'm back. Patty, hello in Ohio, Patty, and hello from Kissimmee, Florida. You're probably not having a nor'easter down there. I only laugh because I talk with 8 o'clock every day. I call my mom 8 o'clock at night, and mom was having trouble figuring out why she doesn't get nor'easters living inland and not in the Northeast. And not all nor'easters are snow. So anyway, I'm just chuckling that nor'easters bring rain. They bring snow. It's just a weather pattern we get up here in the Northeast. But I'm guessing you don't have it in Florida. You get your very own, and you can keep it. If you send us hurricanes, I'm sending you blizzards and nor'easters. So Madeline, hi, it's good to see you. I love my Madeline. So hello, Ray. You don't get to see me live. Oh, enjoy your tea. And let's see. So I'll have some tea. This is Harney Peaches and Ginger Decaf Black Tea. And my knitting, which I'll talk about in a minute. So we're just chatting, even though I do quilt. And that's what this is about. So I think I'm caught up on those. Let me find the card. I keep a card of my projects. There it is. So I did not yet block off the snowball fight quilt, which is the one I just showed you, because I didn't do all the work. So I didn't do all the editing and the videos and the posting and all of that. So I currently have 1, 2, 3, 4 done this month, and that'll be number 5. Unfortunately, I have more than 10, and I just started another one. Shh, don't tell anyone. But there's my card. Another book I did finish, another thing I did finish, which is sewing related. Let's see, Cindy. Nothing better than a winter nor'easter for quilting and sipping hot beverages in warm, comfy clothes in front of a fire while the power is still on. You have to add while the power is still on to make the nor'easter fun. But yes, you live even more northeast than I do. I teach online periodically. Like I'm doing a lot of teaching right now for people who just bought sewing machines. I teach at guilds, things like that. So I remember I was teaching at a guild one night and we were having a nor'easter. So I'm like, I'm going to send you a private YouTube video of everything I'm going to talk about just in case my power goes out and I can't get the generator hooked up fast. Because nor'easters are real when you live up here. It's just the way it goes. Sorry, let me get a drink, trying to save the voice. I'm not sick. I'm still recovering from COVID, but I'm feeling 95% recovered. I just cough and I'm going to sound terrible for months on end and have to explain to everyone that no, I'm not sick. Cindy, you never lose power during a storm. It's great. Do you live in a city? Because where I live, the power company ends. I'm at the end of the town. I'm at the end of the company, and I'm at the end of the end of the town, the county, and the electric company. So it stops, and then there's a place that doesn't have electricity, and then another company comes up over the hill. So when I lose power, I don't necessarily get it back quickly. Especially when it comes with a blizzard or an ice storm or something, because it's hard to get here. And houses are pretty rare out here. And they should replace the houses. They should replace power to the houses in town more quickly than out here in the hinterlands where I live. I do have a generator, but our push start is broken and I don't have enough strength to do this. So I just sit in the dark until my husband comes home. Hello, Dina in Huntsville. I'm glad you're here. And Cindy, yes, a city. Yeah, we don't have anything city. The only thing that comes to my house is electricity and cable, which brings my internet. We don't have sewage, water, just a lot of things don't, gas, things like that. So I live out. And I like it that way. We knew that when we bought the house, which is why we have a generator, but you just got to plan for losing power. So anyway, so the second project I finished, I don't think my daughter-in-law watches these videos. So this isn't going out on social media or in a blog post until next week, because tomorrow I'm getting house guests, and it's my daughter and her wife and my grandson. It's the first time they've been at the house. The first time the baby's been to the house. So I'm pretty excited. And I had to do some grandma stuff. So I have a panel called Whose Nose and Toes from John Butler. I got the panel from Sue's Fabric World. And she's in Fishkill, New York, except she doesn't have a store in Fishkill, New York, and she doesn't have any online presence. But if you go to regional quilt shows, you'll see her there. So anyway, and by the way, I live in East Fishkill, New York. So if she had a brick and mortar store, I'd be there because we're neighbors. But anyway, oh my word, my hearing aid keeps falling out. So I made this book up for my grandson, Whose Nose and Toes, and I had to do it all individually because these things always worry that I'm going to get the pages out of order, and I don't need to confuse a young child with a book that doesn't make sense. So this will go out on social media next week after Elijah already has his present. And he also is getting a sweater that you've seen, and then some Oshkosh. Grandma's been busy. Let's see, Cindy, you have a municipal light plant, so you're very lucky. Yes. But you also have neighbors. So I'm lucky because I have neighbors, but I don't really know them. Because there's houses that adjoin my property, but it's property. So ups and downs to both. In my traffic jam coming home is if there's a flock of turkeys crossing the road while I'm trying to drive on it. So I don't have to deal with, people things, but I have to deal with power goes out things. Let's see. So those are things I finished. So I finished that baby book, the fabric fabric book, and I finished the snowball fight quilt. Things I've purchased. Okay, I just got this. There is a free pattern online, and I'll get the link for it. And then I'll show you what it is. So here's the link. So it's knitting because I'm in a knitting mood right now because of the knitting festival. Let me go share screen. So this is a free pattern from Knit Picks, and it is a dishcloth made from cotton and made to be candy corn. So you can download it, but it's confusing here. So you can choose your size, and it tells you to choose your yarn and buy the whole packet. Be like, but I just want the free pattern because I have yarn. Go down here. It says add all to cart. And then in little tiny print, it says, or just download the free pattern. That's the button you're going to want to click for the free pattern. So I might have just purchased that. And in my world, candy cane is orange on the bottom and then yellow and then white. So I have orange and I have yellow and I have white. Where did the white go? Is it behind my computer? White. Now it's off-white, but it's close enough. Now, I am going to toot my own horn for a second. So I work in the quilting industry, and I have 2 pattern lines, and I've written books, and I've done craftsy classes, and I've been a magazine columnist, and I've quilted award-winning quilts, and I've done a lot in the quilt world. And the thing my mom is most interested in all of my accolades, is that I knit her dishcloths. So I'm knitting my mom a Halloween dishcloth to mail to her, because who doesn't like mail, right? So yeah, I do other things too, but this is the most important thing I do, according to mom, is make Halloween dishcloths. So I thought that would be really cute. I saw that pattern and had to jump on it. So that's new, but it'll be done quickly. It's a dishcloth. It won't take much time. So that's, let me see. I have a list of what's new, what's old, what I've finished. To do. I have a list. Newsletter. No, wrong button. There it is. So what I finished, what I started, And what are UFOs? Okay. So I showed you what I finished. I showed you what I started. UFOs, I have a plenty. So things I'm working on. I'm working on a sweater for me that is striped. I wear striped sweaters. So this is a striped sweater I made when I had COVID the second time. So now I'm making a sweater from when I had COVID the third time. I am going to base up a quilt I finished at Boucation. It's called Lemon Bars, and it is made with, I think it's made with Pumpkin Gatherings fabric, pumpkin spice fabric from Primitive Gatherings. So I've had a picture of it up before, but I think I'm going to base that up tonight. What else am I working on? Oh, and I'm making a hat. So last week was the Houston Quilt Festival, the biggest quilt festival in the United States. And I went every year from 2006 to 2019. And then the pandemic happened. And now that the pandemic has passed, I'm not in physical shape to necessarily handle a big show like that. So I've been hesitant to go back out and teach there, but I'm thinking about it. But that's the biggest quilt show in the United States. And it was last week. I also knit, and the biggest knitting show in the United States is this week, and it's where I live, which is why my daughter and her wife and the baby are coming because they're both knitters, not the baby yet, but we'll get him. So it's kind of a standing appointment with my girls, and so I've been knitting. And I was like, oh, I just need a little project because my church has a homeless mission. We reach out to the homeless, and someone saw that I was knitting and said, oh, we could always use hats. So I started making hats. And I don't want him to brag, but this is a stretchy cast on, and I'm very impressed that I learned how to do it because I'm much better at quilting than I am at knitting. And so it's just a ribbed hat. And I was working on this on Sunday. I run the kids' check-in desk, and in between, I was doing a little knitting. And all my little kids wanted to learn how to knit. So I might have gone and bought a whole bunch of needles, and I'm going to put together a lot of hats kits that will be started so that little kids can learn how to knit on them. So they can either take a couple stitches or take one home and try it. So I'm kind of having fun with that. I have a lot of leftover yarn from a project I did. I made Hogwarts house scarves for all my friends and family. And this is Hufflepuff yellow. I have a lot of yellow left over. I have the blue from Ravenclaw. I have the green from Slytherin. I have the burgundy and gray from Gryffindor. So those are I'm going to make a lot of hats with all those leftovers. And I'm going to see if I can get the little kids at my church knitting because someone should teach them. I mean, someone taught me. And it wasn't my mom. My mom doesn't knit. So it'd be nice to teach them. So I'm having fun with that. But I promise I'm still quilting, and I'll be basting up a quilt later, and there'll be another video out, and things are moving on. As far as what's upcoming, I've had some calendar additions to my calendar. So let me pull that up. And eventually I'll get the newsletter out that'll tell you this. But this weekend is the New York Sheep and Wool Festival, so I'm not working. Next weekend, the 23rd, 24th, 25th, and the 24th and 25th, I will be at Adirondack Quilts in Glens Falls, New York. And I will be teaching a couple of days of classes up there, which is between Albany and Lake George-ish. So if you're in the area, definitely call the shop. If you're not in the area, make plans to be in the area and come and take some long arm quilting classes. The following weekend, so the 30th, 31st, Halloween, 1st and 2nd, I'll be teaching at Bits and Pieces in New Hampshire. So get in touch with Bits and Pieces to come take some long arm classes there. They are they're suburban Boston, just in New Hampshire. So Pelham, New Hampshire. The week after that, the 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th of November, I will be in the Pocono Sew and Vac in East Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania. Super fun time, great shop, wonderful space. Come and see me there. And Poconos in the fall, come and enjoy. The week after that, the 14th, I'll be at Calico Gals in Syracuse, New York, just for one day, and it's some ruler classes. So contact Calico Gals in Syracuse. And then my last teaching event will be the week before Thanksgiving, I'll be back at Bits and Pieces the 20, 21, 22, and 23 of November. So be in touch with all those lovely shops, whether they're in your area or not. It's worth taking a road trip because they're all lovely. So I've got a lot of quilting going. I got a lot of quilting going on, but right now with the knitting festival and the house guests and all of that, there's a lot of knitting going on here. So you should learn to knit. Dina thinks she may want to learn how to knit. I think you should. I learned how to knit when I was a little girl, like 4. I'm adopted, which plays into this. My mom was friends with the lady that ran the adoption agency. She was a friend of my grandmother's. Now, I never knew my grandmother. She passed before I was born, but my mom stayed in touch with her. And the woman who ran the adoption agency was also a family friend, and she taught me to knit when I was a little girl, Emma. Emma taught me to knit, and it's kind of fun. You can see it grows. But when I learned as a little girl, we did straight needles, we did straight knitting, and we sewed everything together. Now knitting is so much different. And I had a conference with my daughter and daughter-in-law talking about how to teach little kids how to knit. And we thought if I gave them a hat that was already had the stretchy part, the stretchy ribbing on it, that they could just learn straight knitting on circular needles. That may be the way to go. So Dina, come to my church on a Sunday morning when I'm working there. Like I volunteer at the kids check-in desk, and I can send you home with a hat kit. And then you come back and I'll help you finish it. But otherwise, there's great ways to learn online. Pick Up Every Stitch is my knitting shop in Mount Kisco, New York. My girlfriend, I've been friends with her for a long time, and like 20 years, and she owns that shop. So that's my local knitting store because of my friendship with my girlfriend. So you can Pick Up Every Stitch or a knitting store in your area. If you are in Pittsburgh, I go to Yarn Bits and Bobs, north of the city of Pittsburgh, the northern part of the city, which was near my mom. But check out a knitting store in your area. I highly recommend it. They're friendly places to be. Now, I've got some editing to do. I've got contracts. I've got handouts. I've got things to do. And it is dreary weather, and I don't feel well because everything hurts. Like 8:30 last night, I'm like, that's it. I'm going to bed. Everything hurts and I'm giving up. And if you have arthritis and just have one of those days, you understand. So having another one of those days, but I can't give up and go to bed. And mama needs a treat. So as I'm sitting here, I decided that I'm going to be at the fairgrounds where the knitting show is this weekend. And one of the things they do at the fairgrounds is they have all the food vendors. Now, I don't drink alcohol. Medically, it disagrees with me, and I was never much of a drinker before that. So no alcohol, but I want a treat. I'm also trying to stay low inflammation just because of, so that means no sugar, flour, things like that. So that's the treat foods. So I would need a treat. Back to the fairgrounds. The fairgrounds usually sell these lovely lemonades in a cup with fresh lemon and all of that. So what this is, I bought a bag of lemons at the grocery store for like $2.63. You cut up a lemon and you muddle it with that handy dandy, is that Pampered Chef or something, that little smusher, that meat smusher. So yeah, I muddled my lemon and then I put in Crystal Light lemonade and ice and water. I just happened to have had an old takeout container. So my treat is Crystal Light, but I used an entire lemon in here, and I have a bowl on the counter in case I need more treats. I know Crystal Light's not the best thing for you, but it's also not the worst thing for you. So my treat while I'm working for the rest of the afternoon at my desk will be this and a cup of hot tea. And I'll go back and forth between them as necessary. So I hope you are treating yourself well, whatever that looks like. Again, I don't drink, and I'm not having sugar or flour, which takes all the fun, happy foods away. So we're down to, or a cup of tea, or a crisp Diet Coke with a lot of ice, from McDonald's preferably. but I digress. So I'm treating myself well, doing what makes me feel good while I'm up and functioning and doing all the things. So I hope you are also finding ways to treat yourself well. Give yourself permission to start a new project or a new hobby. Okay, that fell. Or a new hobby. Go start a new quilt in my sewing room. I have a quilt I'd like to cut into and get started. But take care of yourself, whatever that looks like. Take care of each other. Until I see you next week, next Tuesday at 2:30 in the afternoon, after all of my yarn festivities. I'm sure I will have a lot of new purchases to guiltily put on my things to make list, and a lot of fun memories of my 5-day visit with my girls and my grandson. I will see you again next week, but until then, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and I'll be back again next Tuesday at 2:30 New York time. Happy quilting.